Hi, today we'll be going over how to configure a Gemini GV6K or GT6K drive controller. By the end of the session, you'll be able to use Motion Planner software to upload the motor configuration file and programs and download into a new drive controller. Optionally, I'll also show how to do an auto run to confirm the motor is working and how to command basic motion. You'll need the drive powered on. The Gem6K requires 24 volts for control power for communication. We offer the PS60W power supply. For the optional motion spin test, line power will need to be connected. The GV6K L3 and Gemini Stepper GT6K take 120 volt AC only. The GV6K-U3, U6, or U12 take 120 or 240 volts AC. The H20 is 2way to 240 volts AC. You'll need a serial crossover cable, which is a null modem. Our part number is 71-016939-10 and is a CE rated cable. You'll also need a PC with Motion Planner software. It's a free download from our website, and I'll come back to that in a minute. For PCs without a 9-pin COM port, you'll need a USB to RS-232 adapter. We recommend using the Cables Unlimited USB 2920 adapter. This has the FTDI chipset and works with all of our products on both Windows XP and Windows 7. It's available at Amazon.com. Not all USB serial adapters work the same. If you aren't using one with the FTDI chipset, it may or may not work. Note, the Prolific chipset does not work on Windows 7. It does work on XP. You do not need the motor to be connected to upload and download. If you want to do a spin test of the motor, you'll need either a GC50 or Gem VM50 with pins 1 and 2 jumpered, which is the hardware enabled. Obviously, the motor and the power and feedback cables also need to be connected. Motion Planner 4.3.2 is a free download. Go to our website www.parkermotion.com. On the top right hand corner, click on Support and Downloads, then Download Product Software. Select Motion Planner, click the checkbox and submit. You'll need to register if you haven't downloaded before. After registering, you'll be at the download page. Your drive should be powered on with the serial cable connected to your PC through your USB adapter if your PC doesn't have a 9-pin COM port. The Gem6K has two serial ports. The left port, RS-232/485, goes to the drive board. The right port, labeled RS-232, goes to the 6K control board. Either should work, but it's best practice to use the RS-232 port. If the Ethernet is connected, unplug it. The RS-232 port is not active when the Ethernet port is active. When you first open Motion Planner, you'll have the default communication settings window. Here you can see the Gemini GV6K servo drive controller or the GT6K stepper drive controller. Motion Planner is also used with the 6K, the Gemini GT and GV base drives, and the Gemini GT6 and GV6 simple drive controllers. Those will be covered in separate videos. Click on the Port tab and you can see the port setting. Today we'll be using serial communication. In another video we'll explain how to use the Ethernet communication. To confirm your COM number, go into your Start menu and then go into your Control panel, go into Device Manager, and under Ports you should see the COM number. The USB adapters sometimes do not come up as COM1, so you can take a look at those. If you double click on there or right click and go on to Properties, you can see the manufacturer, which displays the chipset that's in there. If you click on the Port Settings tab, that will allow you to see the communications. Those are already set when Motion Planner software is being used, so you do not need to change the baud rate settings or the number of data bits or stop bits from here. Those are already configured when you open up Motion Planner. Then if you click on the Advanced tab, you can actually change the port number, the COM number. Sometimes though, when you do that, you will have to restart your computer. Okay, so from the control panel of the device manager, we've confirmed the COM port number for our PC, so go ahead and select that and press OK. Okay, so you'll see that the wizard will come up. We're just going to upload and download, so actually go into New Terminal, which is the blue icon, and then in the terminal window just type trev, T-R-E-V, which is tel revision, and you should see that it's a Gem6K. I'm actually connected to a GV6K, and this gives you the firmware number. This just confirms that you are talking, you are transmitting, and you are receiving. On the bottom right hand corner of Motion Planner, it'll show you which COM number that you had selected. Now all the tabs that you open up will be using that COM number, so if you need to change the COM number, if you selected that, best idea is to go ahead and restart Motion Planner, because every time you open up a new tab it will always be looking at that original port setting. So if you go into Program Editor, you can press OK. First thing you'll want to do is click on Upload Editor. Go ahead and it'll warn you that it's going to overwrite what's in the editor. Mine is blank, so that's okay. First you want to upload the motor configuration parameters, so that's the upload setup from drive. We do support RS-232 daisy chaining and 45 multi-dropping for multiple units. We're going to assume that we're just connected to one drive, so you can just leave the default and press OK. Then it will go out, connect to the Gemini and upload. If it's an older firmware version, there might be newer commands that aren't supported in there. Those were added into the COM6 server. That's just a warning saying, hey, I didn't get a response from the drive on that. That's okay. On newer drives, the default values are set to 0, so those commands aren't used. If your replacement drive is a newer firmware version, you shouldn't have to worry about that. So now you can see that you've uploaded, and this is the entire motor configuration parameters in there. So go ahead and then do a file and then save that onto your PC somewhere. And then you also want to do an upload of the program, so go ahead and you can go into File, New, or here you can click on New, Program Editor, press OK, and then you want to go into the Upload Editor. You can also go into Communications and Upload Editor, press OK. I want to select the programs. There's also, you can upload variables if you have variables stored within the drive controller. Go ahead and press OK. It'll check for the programs, then please wait. It'll show you the list of programs. If you go ahead and you can use the Shift key and press select all of all the programs. Hold the Shift key down and just select the first and the last, and it should select all of those, and then go ahead and press OK, and it should start to upload the programs. Now on Windows 7 you should be running Motion Planner in XP compatibility mode. In the start menu on the Motion Planner, just right click and go to properties and select the XP compatibility mode. So you can see here we've got the entire programs here. So now the other thing that you need to do, go into the terminal window and you can see the remnants of the upload. There are certain commands that are stored in non-volatile memory that are not retrieved on upload, so type scale and press enter, and you can see scale is set to 1. So then type SCLD, which is your scaling for your distance, then type SCLV for your velocity. Then if you type SCLA, that's the scaling for the acceleration. So you can see what those parameters are, then go into the editor, go to the very top, press enter a couple times to add this in front of the very first program and type SCLD1 SCLV 4000 SCLA. You were just copying these over from the terminal window and type scale 1. Caps lock does not matter. And then go into the terminal window. The other setting that's not retrieved on PowerUp is the Start P, which is the PowerUp program that runs automatically every time on PowerUp or when you do a reset. So you can see it's running the main program here. So go into the editor. Now when we do a download, it will set these scale parameters as if you were typing them into the terminal window, but it'll be saved in the PRG program. Then it does a DEL and then a DEF, which is, so it deletes the programs and then it redefines the programs, and it defines it until it sees the end of right here, the end. Obviously all the programs have to be defined before you can actually define it as a Start P. So go to the very bottom after the very last end, type Start P and main. So then we have created a backup copy of that. You can go ahead and save that. You can name this backup or upload. You can save that to your network. Then go ahead and you can now power down and connect to your new Gemini GV6K unit. Now when you power on your new unit, if you go into the terminal window, just make sure you're talking, so go ahead and type trev. You do get a response from the Gemini GV. If you type tdir transfer directory, you can see that there's no programs defined. If you type dmtr, you can see it's -1, which means there's no motor that has been configured yet. If you type in the scaling parameters like SCALE, press enter, you can see that those are all the default values, so those have not been set. Then go into the motor configuration. You can click download editor, press OK, and then that will download the motor configuration. So you can see DMTR 1347, and then a drive reset is required for those parameters to take effect, so go ahead and press yes. Then if you want to spot check some of these, you can go into the terminal window. You can type DMTR and you can see it is now 1347. You can also see what was actually downloaded to the unit here. Then go into the actual programs, and then you can do a download editor here and press OK, and then go ahead and press OK. And now you're done. This is normal when you do a download for the very first time on a new 6K unit. There are no programs in there, so when you do a download and it's trying to delete, there are no programs to delete, so it's just giving you a response there that, hey, I'm trying to delete something, then there's nothing in there. And that is normal. So if you go into the terminal window, type TDIR, you can see the list of programs in there. If you type Start P, you can see that the main program has been defined, and then your scale parameters have been set. So you're all good. So now you can power down and walk the GV6K out to the machine, connect up your motor, and you should be good to go. Let's go ahead and look at doing a spin test. Now the motor I actually have connected is a little bit different, so let's just go into the motor configuration. I'm actually going to overwrite this, so I'm going to go ahead and use the factory defaults. I have a SM233. I'll just show you how to use the quick express setup for the Gemini Wizard SM233. I have an AE. This just shows the motor parameters. Select next. The drive control mode is 12, which is a programmable unit. Go ahead and click finish, and this is the motor configuration. I'm going to go ahead and download this. I'm not going to change the programs. I'm actually not going to use the programs at all. I'm just going to download the motor configuration file. And now if I go into the terminal window, the D reset is required, so the drive will go yellow light and then red light after that's done. Now if you go into the terminal window and type D mode, you will see that it is 12, and we will need to come back to that in a moment, so make a note of that. Now to do the spin test, you have to enable the drive, and pins 1 and 2 on the drive I/O connector are your hardware enable. So go ahead and connect your GC50 or your GEM-VM50 with pins 1 and 2 connected. Now in the terminal window, if you type drive 1, you should get a green light on your Gemini 6K. So now you are enabled. Check what your acceleration, your velocity, and your distance are. We're going to do the AutoRun test first, so type D mode 13, and when you do that, the motor should start spinning at about 1 rev per second in the clockwise direction. On a stepper, if you want the other direction to be positive, you can power down and switch the A plus and the A minus phases, and that will run the motor backward. In the program, you can actually reverse it with the CMD DIR command. On a servo, the hulls and the motor phases have to be lined up, so you can't just change the wiring on the drive. That will cause a commutation problem, and you won't be able to position correctly on there. So in the program, you could just do a CMD DIR, and that would flip the direction on both the encoder and the commanded direction on there. That command reverses both of those. So with D mode 13, the motor is turning. You can disable that by doing a drive 0, and then we want to go back to D mode 12, which is programmable drive controller, so it's not in the AutoRun test mode anymore. And then if you want to do a basic move, if you type LH, LH is 3, so your limits are enabled. I don't have anything wired to my GC50, so I'm going to disable that by typing LH0. Obviously, when we put it back on the machine, we'll want to change that. Those are usually stored within the setup or the main program, so those should reinitialize correctly, and then set the A is 100 revs per second squared. That's fine. The velocity is 10. I want to go ahead and just do a 1 rev per second move, and then your distance is 4,000. Now my SCLD is 1, so I am in encoder counts. If my scaling was, if SCLD was 4,000, then D1 would be 1 rev. In this case, 1 would be 1 encoder count. And then MA is 0, which is move incremental distance. So now if I do a drive 1 to enable the motor, and then do a D4000 and go 1, it'll turn 1 revolution. And then if I go, D tilde is a shortcut to reverse the direction, and then do another go 1, it'll come back in the opposite direction. Alternatively, you could do a D minus 4000 and then go 1, and it'll still go in the negative direction. So that shows you basic motion there. When you first walk up to a Gem6K on the machine, you probably need to do a Control K to kill the program before you start doing the uploading and the downloading on there. If you just walk up to the machine and you want to see what's going on with the Gemini 6K, you just do a exclamation TERF, which is the tell error report, and that will give you I believe 32 bits of what's if like the enable input is not being on, obviously then the drive won't be enabled, but it might be in the error program. Do an exclamation TASF, which is the tell access status command, and then there's also the extended access status if you do an exclamation TASXF. So between those three commands, the TERF, the TASF, and the TASXF, those three commands should tell you what's going on with the Gemini 6K. Since the program could be running, do an exclamation point in front of it so it precedes the buffer, because if a program's running, the commands will be buffered and you won't get a response. Thank you for your time today. We've shown you how to use Motion Planner to upload and download the motor configurations and the programs to and from the Gem6K, and also how to do the spin test and basic motion. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at emn_support@parker.com. Thanks again.